Now, here at CNA, we cover stories related to climate change almost on a daily basis, from wildfires to devastating floods. The change in our climate offers a clear and present danger to people around the world. Now, Singapore is no exception. We too have been experiencing rising temperatures, and the race to reduce our emission and to get to net zero is a commitment made at the highest levels of government. In addition to what we produce online, on TV and radio, CNA has started a podcast dedicated to discussing climate change. The Climate Conversations podcast is now into its third season. And helming it is host Julie Yoo. You might recognize her as presenter on CNA's Asia First. Julie, thanks very much for joining us on this late night in the studio. So Julie, I just want to ask you right off the bat, what is the new season all about and how does it sort of differ from what we've seen before?
That's a good question. Well, for starts, there's me, the new host. And you're right, John. My day begins at the break of dawn right here in this very studio presenting Asia First, a morning show. But for about a month now, I've been hosting the Climate Conversations, the podcast, on a weekly basis. And frankly, podcast is a different animal. It still feels very new to me, but climate change and sustainability has certainly been a topic that I've grown to care a lot about, and especially after producing a 12-part series on sustainability. This is earlier this year, and during this time, I had a chance to sit down with individual eco-heroes, checked out companies with brilliant ideas and solutions for a greener planet, and also looked at ways that individuals like us, what we can do to help fight climate change. So this podcast is more of an extension, a natural extension of that conversation. So some of you may remember that the first two seasons of the Climate Conversations, but more of a focus on the explaining the wide range of climate topics, policies, and also a scope of the climate crisis itself. But now that we have established the urgency of it, so let's change gears a little bit, focus more on the positive and the hopeful developments when it comes to climate change. And one way of doing that was put a spotlight on people, real people, communities and businesses that are walking the talk. And we were trying to find out what's motivating them. What are some of the challenges they're facing? How are they overcoming them? And what we can learn from their experiences.
Yeah, so tell us more about these personalities that you've spoken to. I mean, sound like real game changers in the climate space. What kind of insights have they sort of shared with you?
Absolutely. Well, we opened the season with the first generation climate activist. His name is N. Siva, and he's also known as the Otter Man. I met him in person. Yes. Do I see a visual resemblance? Not really, but he's known for his work with otters way before they became cool and fashionable. Also, I've chatted with a startup founders with brilliant ideas. So these ideas include, turning durian husks or cashew nut shells into all natural products like hand sanitizers or insect repellents, for example.
Durian husks for hand sanitizer.
Yes, I know, but it's a brilliant idea, and it's to solve food waste problem in Singapore. And the other one is a local chef. I'm a big foodie, so I was very interested in to see how he sells and also cooks all kinds of plant-based meat. And I think I have a short clip, excerpt of my conversation with Chef Adistan of Love Handle. Have a listen.
All right, so I'm a South Korean. I love my Korean barbecue, fried chicken, but I'm not the best cook out there. So do you think it's something that I can and would want to whip up at home?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah? Give us some examples. What can I try?
I'm working on the fried chicken right now.
How's that going?
Well, I did it yesterday.
You should have brought it here. Oh.
I know I should have. I mean, I didn't know I was going to be having this interview with you today, talking about fried chicken. But some friends came over yesterday, and I just so happened to have this fried chicken on my hands. And I was like, yo, you want to try this fried chicken? And it looks exactly like fried chicken.
The drumsticks and everything?
It's like chicken breast.
Okay.
So, this crispy skin. It's like a buttermilk chicken, right?
Oh, nice.
They had it and they were like, yo, I can't even tell that it's not meat.
I still feel that you should have brought it in so that I could try it.
I kind of wanted that conversation to continue only because, it's late and it's supper time. But I just want to put the spotlight back on climate coverage. I think that it's an important issue, but perhaps sometimes it doesn't enjoy sort of like the I wouldn't say popularity, but the traction among people who perhaps would find, stories of war and, of bread and butter issues more enticing or more relevant or important to them. How does the climate conversations, together with the rest of the offerings that CNA has, sort of change that perspective?
Wow, I mean, that's a great question. It's certainly a key focus for not only myself, but our team as we work on the climate conversations. And, fair point, because I do often hear from people when it comes to climate change, they find it rather dry, boring, heavy, unrelatable, especially here in Singapore, I guess because we are sort of spared from the disastrous effects of climate change compared to other countries. So I feel as a media, we should, rather than just throwing facts and figures at audience, which could unnecessarily invoke fear or even doom and gloom, but maybe perhaps keep the topic of climate change more personal, more intimate and accessible. And I think the best way of doing that is to speak to real people, listen to their authentic stories, their visions, their hopes and fears. And hopefully our audience and our listeners will be inspired and feel, oh, I see, I can relate to that, or I want to do my own way of contributing to stopping the further deterioration of this planet. And I know it's hard, and but small things matter. Just it's just maybe using less plastic or air conditioning, flying less, or even eating less meat, and it all matters. And so I'm going to try my best and hopefully bringing our audience along with me in this journey.
Yeah, just stripping out the abstract and focusing on human interests and the stories that matter. Julie, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you, John.
This evening, we've been speaking there, of course, with Julie Yoo. She's a presenter with Asia First and a host of Season 3 of the Climate Conversations.